Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the second installment of the Divine Feminine Conversations. As technology has it, we are a bit delayed today. We're not superhuman, so we're going to come in. We're coming to the stream a bit late, but we're here. We're alive. We're in this moment, and we're about to share space. So, welcome to anybody that has come, that is here to share space with us and has RSVP to be able to have this conversation with us. I am so excited to be here with my guest, Taruni, and we're just about to have a very amazing conversation in terms of the divine feminine movement. That is what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. If you've come up onto the stream today to watch us. That is today's topic, and that is what has excited you to be able to come here. But before we go on, my name is Sodashi, and lovely to be here with everyone. And just before we move on, the busyness of the stream going a little wild, and the technology doing what it does best, I am just going to take a moment to center here. To just be here and to bring all our energy. And I invite you guys into the space to be able to do that with me and to just come into this moment, relax here so that we can be as receptive of the great mother and all the lessons and all the wisdom that has been channeled through all of us that we're all going to have an experience of hearing today. So can we just take this moment? I invite everybody to close their eyes. And I'm just going to ask the team to play a bit of our soul perspective meditation music, just for us to be able to center into this moment, just for one moment, as we take a few breaths. All right, everyone. Okay, we're back. We took our moment. We're here. We settled in. I know it was a bit short, but I'd like to invite my guest here, Taruni. That is her name. Taruni is a yoga and meditation facilitator. She has been at it for about 8 years now. She teaches yoga in studios. She went to the yoga epicenter of the world just for her to be able to experience and truly study the art of yoga. And she's going to be joining us into our conversation today, all about divine feminine movement. Hello, Taruni. Hi, and welcome to the Divine Feminine Conversations. It's been quite a struggle for us to get here. So I hope everyone of our guests know that when we're here, we're fought to be here. But welcome, and thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for allowing yourself to hold space for us, for everybody who's watching, and to be able to share your knowledge, your expertise, and everything that you come from, and the knowledge and the wisdom of the Divine Mother, being channeled through you in this moment. So I'm going to give you a second to welcome yourself, to say hi to everyone. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Yes, it's been quite the journey to get here, to be welcomed into our space. And I'm really hoping that it stays like this.
It is this.
The connection,
Yeah.
the technological connection, and the spiritual level, we are already being connected. There's a reason why we're all here.
Yeah.
If it does disconnect, and surrender and let it go, it's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Hope
Yeah.
that So thank you so much to everybody for having me. It's really such an honor.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it is an honor to have you here with us and speaking, and just to settle into the topic that we're going to be discussing today. The first question that I have for you, Taruni, is what has your experience with, as a yoga practitioner, as somebody who deals with movement and flow on their day to day life, what has movement and what does movement mean to you? And how has it impacted your life?
So I suppose we'll have to start from the very beginning, go way back to a time when I did not know yoga, because for me the practice of yoga is my movement practice, my main movement practice. And in fact, before we start, we actually have to call on the higher beings, right? In every
Yep.
space that we come into.
Yes.
It just reminded me now, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. So let's do that. Let's center,
Yes.
let's drop in,
Mm-hmm.
let's call all the high density beings, the galactic shamans,
Mm-hmm.
para that come before us,
Mm-hmm.
ancestors. We draw them in, we invite them into the circle.
Mm-hmm.
That was, of course, taught to us by them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like them to bless the circle, bless the space. We'd like to ask them to help our tongue, to help our throat, to help our minds, to say
Mm-hmm.
the right words at the right time, in the right tone. May
Mm-hmm.
they land in the right heart space that needs
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to invite everyone who's here trying to tap into their divine feminine, just like Mother Paris, I think, who spoke the last time. She was saying, inviting everyone to just kick off their shoes and
Mm-hmm.
relax,
Get a cup of tea.
get a cup of tea, get whatever makes them feel warm and smooth and empowered and surrendered and gentle and soft. Let's just all take a deep breath in through the nose and release out. We let go of everything that came before this conversation, that came before our coming together in the circle. Okay. All right. So my movement practice began in high school. I
Mm.
come from a dad, a father, actually, quite ironically, that is very spiritual. He's very connected, very
Mm.
grounded,
Mm.
and he's also very attentive. So
Mm.
he noticed that by nature, I am an anxious, shoulders up to the ears kind of person since a very young age.
Mm.
And often, he'd say throughout my whole life, you should do yoga.
Mm.
Gosh, geez, can you just, as we all do when we're growing up and our parents advise us,
Mm.
we forget that they do,
Mm.
sometimes we're better.
Mm.
So it always just plant the seed. You should get into yoga. You should get into yoga. And I didn't really take him seriously, but I did take him seriously when he said, you should get deeper into your meditation practice.
Mm.
And we've been meditating since I was pretty much a baby. So that was our practice. It was just practice of the mind, controlling the mind, and a way to control the mind is through this controlling the senses, and that's done through meditation.
Mm.
And then eventually, the very stressful time of high school came, and I could feel build up in my body. I could feel that my prana, my life
Mm.
force, energy is stagnant. It's not moving and causing me a lot of distress. And then I would. Can you pick up the noise in my background?
I can. Yeah. Slightly, yeah, I can. I can, yeah.
Okay, it's
But it's
fine.
all
No worries.
okay. We're still
Yeah,
here. We're still
we're still
here.
here. Um, so then I finally decided to surrender just a little bit. Thought,
Mm,
okay, do just general stretches.
mm,
Stretches became a bit longer, became a practice that I related closer to, a practice that I could always return to in times of stress, in times of distress, and also in times of joy, because I found that it was a way for me to get to know my body as a growing
mm,
lady.
mm, mm.
Um, and so like that, I started getting into some bit of movement. Started, as we all do, on YouTube with some yoga videos way, way, way back in the day when there wasn't so many,
There
like
were
in the
barely
red.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm,
Um, but then I'd say like the crux was when I got to university. And I was
yeah.
just minding my own business. During orientation week, they set up their things, and I everyone, and I was walking past the yoga tent, and they called me, as spiritual families do, as soul families do. They recognize something within you, this
Yeah. Yeah.
Paramatma residing within me, and it's the same as in you. And Paramatma likes to communicate and connect with each other because they
Mm,
realize exactly what you need.
mm,
So that is what happened. That is what happened during orientation week. They called me and they said, "Hey, would you like to try out this yoga and meditation club?" And then I signed up. That was the only thing I signed up for. Went to my first official proper practice, and the guru, the monk, they were, a brahmachari, a male monk, not really supposed to be even teaching yoga, let alone teaching women yoga or younger ladies. But he was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Still
mm,
in touch, still connected till this day. I After my first class, I finally got a deep sense of calm. Being
mm,
someone who is very anxious, very shoulders to the ears, my shoulders finally dropped when I
mm,
was initiated into yoga by
mm.
um and I don't like the phrase "and the rest is history" because I want to know what happened in the history, but the rest truly is
Yeah,
uh,
the rest really is history from
very,
here.
very
Yeah.
history. So he trained me in yoga. He trained me for many, many years, also in meditation as well. Him and another team of monks took me to India to get even deeper into the crux of yoga and what it is and the origins, and getting to understand and study its importance and purpose in our lives. Um, and then fast forward a couple more years, did a meditation course to help me dive deeper. And as you can ask any yoga teacher, we like to always upgrade our courses and just
Yeah.
dive deeper
Yeah.
into knowledge. So
Yeah.
yeah, a couple of courses later, here I
Mm.
am
Mm.
sharing space with Soul Perspective.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. That's an amazing story. That's an amazing story. I think sometimes we don't always take the initial call, but as you were saying, when those yoga teachers actually came to you and spoke to you, that was in that moment the call of the mother and the call of the father, but really just the call, and you heeded to the call. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. I loved how you spoke about prana, your life force, your life force, and how movement gets your life force going. And I think we undermine often how movement gets stagnant, how energy gets stagnant, our life force sometimes gets stagnant as it moves around. And being in conversations such as this, such as the divine feminine conversations, is to acknowledge that some of our divine feminine aspects have been stuck. They're stuck somewhere, you know. They're just waiting to get moving. And how, in your experience, has movement, has getting into the flow? I love how you spoke about surrender. How has, you know, your journey in yoga allowed you to kind of shake up all those divine feminine energies, you know, channeling the mother, you know, the creativity, the birth of it all, the intuition, the wisdom? How has, you know, yoga allowed you to step into that space?
That's a very beautiful question. I wish every woman could be asked this question so that they
Yeah,
can actually take a bit of
yeah.
an introspection, because half of us are walking around without even realizing that there's something deeply wrong. There's something like a very deep level that's wrong, and we're so busy trying to function and just trying to really, the yogic texts say, just trying to feed the belly, which is what happens in our patriarchal society. That's pretty much the only thing that is pushed. We're trying to get the money, feed the family, and there's never time to just, okay, let's take a pause, let's take a step back and figure out what's going on in the internal world. So when I first got the inkling that, okay, there's more to life than just, you know, this go, 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 um, reproductive and productive work culture society. I did those first couple of sessions of yoga, and it happened to be during springtime. And at the ripe old age, I must have been 18 or 19. That was the first time that I actually smelled the blooming of flowers, because it was springtime in all my years, and they hadn't even sprung properly as yet. But then I thought, wait a minute, it's just like the air smells like honeysuckle and peaches and roses and just like the most richest
Yeah.
bloom, yeah, that you could figure out. And I thought, oh, okay, wait a minute, something definitely unlocked here. Um, Something unlocked. And that's when I really started doing the self inquiry. The yogic encourage us to do self inquiry. That's where the whole thing starts.
Yes.
Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? Um, then my journey started there. You start to figure out that, okay, it's a casing. This is a casing that's made up of elements, made up of, well, I don't want to put it the way that the yogic texts put it, but it just say it's a pile of pus, bones, blood, and stool. But we're not trying to get that sort of longer, but that's pretty much what it is. You as the soul reside in it. But as you reside in it, you should still try to make the most of it. And the whole point of this life journey is to be liberated from this casing. And yoga is a way to be liberated through. But you cannot do that if you're suffocating, if you're being pushed down and bogged down by first the things that society expects of you and pushes for you, and the agenda that it's pushing, and also the things that you push your own self, your um, so yeah, I started doing a self inquiry, and those are the answers that came out. But then self inquiry, you get answered, and then something else comes up.
Pops up.
So I figured,
Definitely.
yeah,
That's the
it has
journey.
to,
That's
right?
the journey.
That's the journey. It never ends. It never
Yeah.
ends until
Yep.
officially you're liberated from the whole material universe. Um, so then we found out, okay, actually, I'm not this body. I'm not this body. This is not me. It's my casing. It's my home. And that word of home then unlocked whole other array of questions within me. Okay, if it's my home, then I should be doing something to take care of it, right? So then the whole, I would say, tradition or movement of self love comes. All right. Okay, self-love, doing the things, self is happening, or you've answered that question, more questions come up.
Yeah.
Then, yes, you
Mm,
then start to inquire why so much suffering? Why is this body
mm,
so much of
mm,
suffering?
mm,
Okay, now how do you answer this? Self-inquiry, more connections, more collaborative work, other more knowledgeable others in the same realm that you're working with, coming to figure out that it all starts with the imprisonment of the divine feminine. And
mm,
that's a part of why we're here today, trying to figure out, especially for those that haven't even tapped into why a divine feminine is imprisoned, or how it was imprisoned, or how it was liberated.
mhm.
Um, that's why we come together to have these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the part that where everything culminates is,
Mm,
is in the womb,
mm,
right? The womb space. So in order to find all of the answers, that's where you start. How can I actually awaken that womb space? And then
mm.
from there, all other answers will come. So not
Yeah.
only your divine feminine, but also your divine masculine as well, and how the conversation and community
Mm,
flows to help you to function in this imprisonment. Because this
mm,
physical world, essentially for spiritual beings, which are all of us, is a
mm,
prison. But we're not
mm,
trying to stay here. We're trying to
mm,
figure out what's trapped here, what's making us trapped, and
mm,
eventually liberated by the system.
mm, mm. Man, that's amazing. And as you were inquiring, as you were, stepping into it layer by layer, deepening, right, into, the feminine. I think what I love most about feminine work, or what I've noticed, in fact, most about divine feminine work, is the requirement to drop in, to not
Mm,
always be so forward, but to actually drop in, sit back, and to sink in. And I wanted to find out from you, as you were sinking, as you were dropping in, as you were inquiring, as you were digging, what are the things that you noticed, right? As you started noticing the encaging, the imprisonment of the divine feminine, what are the things that you noticed that you did that assisted over and above, the world that we're living in right now, but that assisted the encaging, the imprisonment of the divine feminine within you, or the imbalance between your masculine and your feminine side?
mm. That yeah, that's a very deep and sacred question, because it differs from person to person.
Yeah.
But I'd say for my own personal story, it was probably ancestral, which is
Mm,
probably the case for most of us, right? As a person born in the female body,
mm,
you absorb the trauma, the struggle, the tensions that your mother did, and not just your mother, but her mother as well. And all of this, and her mother was back
and
and
her
back,
mother and her mother.
and these are experienced in utero. So this also in the Eastern philosophy, we read this as karma, as karmic energy.
Mm, mm,
And
mm,
this karmic energy can be good karma, can be bad karma. But the bad karma is what tried to take over and envelop the whole,
mm,
and envelop the culture, and envelop women, and keep feeling trapped, stagnant, forceful, angry,
mm.
to the point where Mother Gaia, Divine Feminine, has decided to retreat,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
Um, to the point where those whispers, even if you try to go
mm.
inside, whispers have been extinguished. They've been silenced.
So much
But
piled on top of it. Yeah.
so much piled on top of all the nonsense that gets piled on. Um, but the most beautiful thing is that cosmic energy of mother will always be love, the divine language. So if someone comes to you and assists you and speaks to you in the language of love and drags you out of that turmoil, drags you out of the trouble, eventually you'll be able to hear that voice speak louder and louder and louder again,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
through the ancestral suffering, even through the karmic suffering that is so embedded and it's so difficult to break. It is extremely difficult to break. But just like we did at the beginning, when we called forth those that came before us, who witnessed the suffering, who went through the suffering, somehow made it out, we call them and we beckon and we bring their strength to come into such spaces so that they can give us that higher knowledge to tap into and try to figure out, okay, how can I get out of this? It's really about tapping into that cosmic energy, receiving it, that cosmic healing, that cosmic knowledge. And then eventually all those painful wounds, the karmic wounds, are going to heal slowly but surely. But you need to open them up, let the wound fester, let it open up, let it air out. And eventually it will crust over. That also is very uncomfortable. And eventually you'll have to just look at it, soothe it out, let it off. And but yeah, but I'm just thinking that, we're like in the thick of it. We're in the
Yeah.
thick, especially right now as a collective.
Yep.
So it's also about having that belief that after this will come the beautiful rain shower of proper divine femininity. I was reading a quote that said, to just like prepare to behold the beauty of that emotion of completely living in divine femininity without having to disjunct yourself. So sometimes, at work, you can't really do your full expression of divine femininity because it is maybe a corporate environment and you expect it to be a certain way. Then when you get home, you have to integrate that and let that go. And so in the future, eventually we'll be able to express that to our fullest, to our full potential. And a very beautiful thing is sort of got a glimpse of that at a retreat that I went to some years ago. It was a red tent retreat. You might have heard of red tent retreat, or maybe the viewers, some of them have, where we come together as women, as people who hold wombs, um, and we express our divine femininity through dance, through chant, song, through cry, through art, through hair braiding. And it's a huge, beautiful space where we connect with Mother Body, with Mother Guy, with each other, and try to express that to the fullest. Limitations of the external tells us to be a certain way. Um, yeah, I'm hoping we could tap into a little bit.
That's amazing. I think also you said when you were speaking about ancestral wisdom, it reminds me of something I once heard about how while you're still in your mother's womb, your children or your eggs are already starting to develop from that point while you're still in your mother's womb. So in essence, you have at some point lived in your grandmother's womb, and she's lived in her grandmother's womb. And and it's amazing how much we carry. You don't just carry yourself in your womb, you carry your lineage in your womb. You carry Mother Gaia. You carry all wombs in your womb, and doing the work and stepping into that space allows you to not just heal yourself, but you're doing something for the entirety of the cosmos, if you're being really big with it. You do a lot of healing work for the world. You do a lot of healing work for the universe, and it's an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. So thank you for that answer. It actually sparked something so amazing in me. When I think of in what you're saying, we're in the thick of it now. We're in the fire, and when we also look into our lives, change is never comfortable, and change doesn't often come in spaces where it's easy. It's chilled. It's not always like that, and sometimes we need a fire to just burn through so much, and burn through all that was old, and bring in all that is new, and this new balance that we are trying to cultivate. And this fire reminds me of all the times I did fiery hot yoga and got into fiery hot moves that got me warm and lovely. So, what are your favorite or your most things that you would suggest, moves, positions, things that you would suggest, movements that you would suggest for someone to get their energy going, to get the fire burning in them, to help them burn through some of the caging that we have within us, and doesn't only just have to be yoga, whatever other movement that you embody.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite a sort of deep sort of detoxification process. It requires, and this might sound different or weird coming from a yoga instructor, but we need more than just yoga. We need to really cultivate a practice, a daily practice of stepping into that fire, but also not staying in that fire, especially in your practice. We may be in that uncomfortable awakening stage as a collective, and it feels as though we really have to burn down the patriarchy. And we talking about the patriarchy. Okay, sorry, not sorry, but that is pretty much the antithesis of what we're trying to do. But as the feminine, we're really guided by Luna, and Luna is cool. Luna is calming, right? So already the patriarch, the masculine, wants us to be sun,
Yeah,
power,
yeah. That's
fighting,
true.
but we want to tap into the divine, the hatha, right? With hatha yoga,
Yeah,
the
hatha,
th,
yes, yeah, hatha.
Luna, it's cooling, it's grounding, and of us that feels like fire because it's so uncomfortable to
It
pour
is so
this
uncomfortable.
all
Yeah.
down. So depending on, especially remember, we're trying to look at the cosmos, we're trying to look at what is out there, and our what we revolve around, or what revolves around us, is the Luna. So we look at the moon and what the moon is telling us to do. So you need to create your practice around the phases of the moon. Hopefully in time, if you are a lady who is menstruating or who still has their menstrual cycle, you will also try, by all means, through your practices, to link with the
Link up with you.
you have the lunar system, and then you have your menstrual cycle, and then you have your practice. So the first two layers are going to guide where your practice goes. So, for instance, when it's maybe full moon and you are menstruating, you are hemorrhaging, you are bleeding, you want to stay away from all sorts of movements that generate that Nabanda fire. You want to stay away from that, because the moon and your body calls for you to retreat, to be introspective, to be reflective, to be cool. So you're going to want to maybe get into a yin yoga practice or
Yes.
a restorative yoga practice, making sure that you have all your comforts, delight around you. So
All
your
the fluffy
most
pillows, all the blankets.
your most comfortable pillow, your most comfortable blanket that are clean, that are soft, that make you feel like you are coming back home, that make you feel, and back home I mean back in the womb, right? You
Yeah.
feel warm and surrendered. The womb is like a black velvety sort of warm hug.
Hug,
So
yes. Like a
yeah, so
fuzzy. Yeah.
yes, fuzzy, warm, black. Those are the types of that's the type of practice that you want to cultivate, and want to try to stay away from things maybe like inversions, because your prana wants to expel something.
Yes.
You are trying to expel the blood out of your system, or panavayu is like trying to take out something, whether it's through crying, which happens during that time, or of course through, some women might even throw up. You want to let things come out of
Things
the
out.
system, and it's perfectly great. It has to happen. That originally it was supposed to happen, and that's the type of stuff that would happen way back when in the red tent. And originally, all the women in the village would gather in the red tent and would all sit and bleed together freely, right? Just inserting a diva cup or inserting a tampon, because
The
that was so
sponges, yeah.
low. Um, just sit there and just freely bleed, and that's a way to get your prana energy to move through upaya out. Um, so then, and then of course, then your phase of the menstruating changes. Now you come into your follicular phase. The moon now starts to wax as well, and you want to then start to very slowly generate movement, generate a practice that gets you standing, that gets you that gets your shoulders back. Because remember, you were cradled and hunched and just cocoon. Now we're traveling, changing your going through a process of metamorphosis, and your whole being changes. So a very interesting fact is that our hormonal and cyclic phases, they lost that 28 on
Yeah.
average, 28, but for men it's 24 hours. So for them it's just every single day it replenishes, right? The average healthy man. But for us it's a long
It's a very
process,
long process. Yes.
very process. So we very much need to be, we need to enlist a lot of awareness, a lot of ground, and a lot of observation, because even with that process, it can have ups and downs, it can change. But if you know your body, you'll know why the change is happening and how you can fix that change. So now we're coming into our follicular stage, we're coming in, we're moving a little bit more, we're nourishing
I'm
our
excited.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're slowly, we're not quite at the fully excited stage, we're creeping in there, we're putting toes into the water. So we want to have a practice that wants us standing, a lot of asanas that are about balancing. So your pose, your all sorts of your comfort pose, any pose that wants you to stand and keep strong, rise back. That's pretty great. And then, the other stages come on, your ovulation stage. That's when then you want to you can do like a fire practice or heated practice, but also not every single day, because that can also take your cyclical observation out of whack. So you have to just observe that maybe 1 or 2 days in the week observe or rather perform inversions also not so often as
Mm,
as a woman, because we're trying to get the cyclical energy flowing throughout the 28 days
mm,
and not it be abruptly stopped by any
mm,
rough movements that we may get
mm,
into. And this is
mm,
not to say that we are these delicate flowers that should
mm,
never move. No, we're extremely strong. We just need to know when to administer the strength and when to hone it back in, because that is
mm,
where our power lies. So,
mm.
unfortunately, in our society right now, all we are is like push, do, give,
Go,
give.
go, go.
And then
Mm,
we end up being out of work. And then we
mm,
surprise ourselves why such an increase
mm,
of anxiety,
mm,
infertility issues.
mm,
Yeah, so it's quite very important to observe your cycle and observe
mm,
how it relates to the atmosphere and to the lunar energies.
mm, mm. I'm so glad that you mentioned that and you spoke about that, because I think being able to honor the body fully and not just partially but fully honor the body has become such a lost art, especially for a lot of women. Like you said, we don't run on a 24-hour cycle, and you'd be shocked at how many people don't even know that, how many men and women don't know that we don't always run on the the cardian regenerative 24-hour, let's go wake up tomorrow morning, same energy, same go. We don't do that. It takes time for us to we move through different phases, one at a time. And because the nature of the feminine body, right, the feminine embodiment is cyclical. The feminine in and of itself is cyclical in nature, and being able to come back into that, and realize that nothing is ever straight line. The cycles of now we're moving into autumn, autumn, summer, spring. I think other people affiliate the cycles, the different phases of your menstrual cycle, with in a winter being your menstrual cycle, your bleeding time. In a autumn being your luteal phase that comes just before your bleeding time. Then your in a spring being ovulation phase, and in a summer, sorry, being ovulation phase, and in a spring being follicular phase. And when we start to look at that, start to see that, we'll start to become in sync with the many different energies that move around us, because Mother Gaia, as well as the moon, they move in cycles. And once we start to fall in sync, settle down, relax back into, those energies, those natural energies, we'll find ourselves a lot more in sync, a lot less stressed out, a lot less woo, like where am I going? Am I coming? A lot more grounded. And I think it's such a lost art. When I can speak from my personal experience, when I started to do that, when I started to use herbs, that speak to these times, where when I started to eat somehow different, it created an even like a magnificently better menstrual cycle, less pain, less this. And I also got to know and use my menstrual cycle as science, as a teacher, you know, to say that, hey, this month you weren't honoring your body as much. You were a bit out of whack, and this, we're gonna have to rest a lot more. We're gonna have to cocoon a lot more, and it's amazing. Thank you so much for mentioning that. It's actually such a that topic touches my heart quite a lot, So thank you. And as we continue on this conversation, I just want to find out from you, for the working woman, right? Or the working menstruator around there, the working feminine, somebody that, you want to get in touch with your feminine, but life is busy. Maybe you're a single mom, maybe you're a breadwinner, maybe you work very long hours, maybe there's just so many conditions and circumstances and situations that you are in that don't really allow you much time, that don't really allow you much ease, that require you to be in your masculine quite a lot. How would you advise that person, that feminine creature that wants to embody the feminine a lot more, to move? What kind of practices that can they begin? What kind of things can they start in be it on small scales or big scales? But what kind of things can they do to get themselves locked in, and softened into the feminine again?
Mm. The first thing would be to not believe that they have to be locked in the masculine. So as much as we like to think that the society expects this of me, so this is how I'm going, how I need to be. Once you break the chains, yeah, then you start to see everything else fall into place. Because at the day, Mother Bhumi, the universe wants you back to it. It wants you to rest. And spiritually, it is a time for that. Karmically, it is a time for the collective to come back and rest. So you'd first have to first first break that right, and then you're gonna start off slow and small. So if you don't have an hour to do your divine feminine meditation, that's okay. You do 2 minutes, 2 minutes of your day. You sit, just close your eyes and start to soften, to draw in, go into your internal world, go into that dark void. It seems scary. Be your friend. Has all the answers. Then your 2 minutes are up. And then the next day you'll find your body, your mind, your womb, begging you back to sit. And right? The womb is out and wants you to sit again in your sacral. And this time maybe 4 minutes comes in. And remember, what you put out there is also what is given back to you. So you'll find that, remember that I mentioned at the beginning, the one within you guides you exactly where you need to be, might direct you to walk to a yoga studio, and they're offering a free class. And then you enter that free class time where you are able to. Then you do your yoga. Then from there, other things will unfold. So the power of the mind was what I'm trying to say, will guide you to exactly where you need to be. But you start off very small, small bites. You can sit on your throne in the sacral chakra in your meditation. You can run yourself a bath, or you can step into your shower and try to engage soft things that can get you to go deeper into your meditation, which is placing yourself as a form of meditation, a form of healing. The things that you are putting in your type of nourishment, instead of buying poison called KFC, maybe this time you'd like to opt to making yourself a sandwich, a healthy sandwich, or maybe a salad. I know some people don't believe in but you can make it nourishing. And then you'll be given that knowledge by Mother God, Mother Bhumi, by the universe, to make more nourishing salad. So it's down to very simple, small acts that you can do in your everyday life. You are standing in a queue waiting to pay, check a ticket, pay, instead of whipping out your phone and trying to scroll through and see anything online. Stand with your feet slightly apart and just start to sway from side to side. Big as we all can imagine, in a sacred circle, you have these beings that are there to help them, but they are never standing still and stagnant. They're always in movement somehow. So just sway. And then from there, you can maybe bring in a hum into
Mm.
your chakra, right? So if we look at the throat and the cervix, they are
Mm.
sort of the same. So we want to try to open
Mm.
our throat chakra,
Mm.
and
Mm.
have better expression of
Mm.
things that you need, of things
Mm.
you are seeking,
Mm.
whether that's in prayer
Mm.
or to your boss. If you're saying, I'm not
Mm.
able to stay an hour extra, I need to go home and do my meditation. But you don't even have to go in demonstrating yourself.
Mhm.
That's how your throat chakra will open and express for you.
Mm. Mm.
Somehow you yourself will express to the beings that be, the universe, in prayer, what it
Mm.
is you need, and they'll provide that because
Mm.
you're opening up now, right?
Mm.
So humming is a beautiful, beautiful way
Mm.
to,
Mm.
to start to open up the throat, going down the
Mm.
thoracic, going down to the sacral.
Mm.
And you also start to feel yourself sink deeper into that sort of ventral vagal state.
Mm.
You're not fighting, you're not fighting, you're not freezing, you're not collapsing.
Mm.
You're just being.
Mm.
The divine feminine wants you to just be. It doesn't want you to do.
Mm. What should be? Mm.
So you're
Mm.
standing in your queue, your feet are slightly apart, you're just swaying, you're mindful, you're observing, you're gently humming to yourself. That's another way that you can do it. I could carry on. I'm not sure if it's just such a very long list that
There
people
is a
do
very long list. Yeah.
everyday life. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you so much for that. I think that's a starter for now. But I think fundamentally, what I'm noticing is just allowing yourself the moment to be. My dad always used to tell me when I was younger, just be. And I never understood it. This is coming from my dad. And he was like, just be, just be. Why, stop worrying about other things, just be. And I didn't get it. For a very long time, I didn't get it because I'm like, how? But now, as I'm older, I'm starting to understand it a lot more about being, about simply being, just being here. The feminine isn't in the doingness. The feminine is in the beingness. And even if you don't do anything, but give yourself time to be. Give yourself time for rest. Give yourself time just to be in the present moment. And those are amazing things. And we've reaching the end of the show right now. And I just wanted to take a moment to just thank you. Thank you so much. You have dropped so many bars of wisdom here. You have allowed us to drop in. And I know that everybody that is watching, that is soaking all of this up, has received some form of knowledge, wisdom, and has allowed the Divine Mother to speak through them. And I just want to thank you so much. You have been such a gem, and I'm so, so, so grateful for you, and for being here. And thank you. And I just want to give you a moment to just let the audience know if there's any way that they would like to reach you, anything that, what your offerings are. Just like to give you the platform, to speak about you and what you do and your offerings and how they can reach you after this.
Yeah, you can easily find me under Taruni Radha Yoga, and just dropping my DM if you feel the pull. And from then on, we can have our separate conversations. I teach yoga, and I teach more of what we've discussed today on a deeper, more personal level. So you me, and again, if you feel the pull, we express exactly what it is and try to find the best way that we can be guided to healing you. So I just want to just remind people, Trisha Hersey always says, is that resistance, right? You might feel that you want to rest, but in you resting, you are resisting systems that all the systems that do not want us to flourish, that do not want us to be compassionate, to be flexible, to be wise. If I if you can remember one thing that was said evening is resistance. You have to
Thank you so
resist.
much. Thank you so much. And we receive that. To everybody watching right now, just want to give a massive thank you to you too. Just say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this space. And thank you for just stepping in and being brave enough to be here. The journey of the feminine is a long one. The journey of the feminine is a deep one. And over the years, movement, ritual, circle, dance has been such a strong and present part of feminine practice. And I encourage you as we end, and I invite you in this space as we close off to consider the many different ways that you can step in, move, and to step into your beingness and to allow the mother to move through your body, to just, it's a very transformative energy when you just sit and just allow yourself to just sway, as Taruni said, to sway, to just be and to sway. And you never know where your divine energy, divine feminine energy might take you. You never know on what journeys your movement might take you. You never know what places your movement might take you. So allow yourself to journey through the cosmos through movement. Allow yourself to journey into yourself through movement. Movement is a transformative thing, and it allows a deepening, and it allows a softening, and it allows a beingness. You cannot move and not be present. You'll fall flat on your face if you try that. So allow yourself to be present enough to move, to sway, and to let yourself be moved in the movement, in that gentle sway, in that beingness with the Divine Mother is where you will connect, where you will connect to your intuition, where you will connect to yourself. And this is where you'll find the most magnificent cosmic energies. So, as we're going to leave you right now, closing off the show, giving our thanks, we're going to be leaving you, so don't be too quick to move on. We're going to be leaving you with some of our soul perspective meditations playing. So, as you get ready to close off your night after spending time with us, allow yourself to step into just a 10-minute meditation with the music that we have. And if you'd like to find more of such meditations, you're welcome to visit our site, www.soulperspective.co.za. It's right there on the little bar at the bottom. And wherever it is that you found this, or where you're watching this from, you can just always search through our website and look at what it is that we're exploring together and say hi, drop a hi. We'd love to hear from you. This is a journey that we're all taking together, and it's an exciting one, and we're just grateful that you have come to join us in our Soul Perspective family. To you, Taruni, thank you for joining us, Soul Perspective family, and to everyone, have an amazing lunar night. Good night, everyone.